finally, I found an Indiana Jones movie that I absolutely love. Not one that I think is okay, not one that I think is really good, and I may not watch again, but one that I love and I'm going to rewatch again. And let me start off with the good. I love that we finally got a backstory and some context to why Indiana Jones is Indiana Jones. The opening for this film is exciting, it's exhilarating, it's just a great fun sequence that exemplifies why this series is so beloved, because it stands out even to this day, even though these movies were made decades ago, of why this is kind of the standard at certain adventure action set pieces. Seeing Indy part of that little troupe that was trying to excavate things and running into a character that was basically like him grown up, and like you could see where he got inspired to be the way he was, from the hat to the clothes. He looked like Indiana Jones in the beginning. The way they framed him, you thought it was going to be Indy. When he turned around, it was a different guy. It was just perfect timing and framing. And it was perfect because the way they revealed Indy in other films was the same way. So for him to face off and lose to someone very similar to him, I thought that was genius. And we got to see where his exploration and why he loves finding artifacts, why he believes they should be in a museum. We found out why he's scared of snakes, and we found out why he started using whips. I love all that, because my major issue I had with past films before this, the first two films, is that I had no context. We're just jumping into the adventure and I don't know who he really was. To me, the main adventure of this film is similar to Raiders of the Lost Ark, but in every way possible done better. And the main part of that is because of Sean Connery as his dad. I love this character. His chemistry and dynamic with Harrison Ford / Indiana Jones was what held this movie up and added some depth to it. I love that he was this kind of cold, calculated character that just went off and left his son to frolic and not really care about what he was doing, and it shows why Indy is the way he is, kind of always searching for that acceptance of his father and never getting it. And even during the movie, he's doing all these cool different things, these action things, and getting away from the Nazis, and his father's just looking at him like, not impressed. You could just see Harrison Ford's character, Indiana Jones, turning into a kid again, and like, oh god, like nothing I could do can impress this man. I just thought that dynamic and that arc for Indiana Jones to have, because he doesn't really have arcs in this film, but for him to have that and that dynamic really made this movie stand out. An issue I had with past Indiana Jones films is that the female protagonists or female characters that were in like the main parts of the film were loud, annoying, and mostly useless throughout the film, and just bogged the film down for me. And it's not a sexist thing, it's just the way they were written. But Elsa in this film was absolutely my favorite of the franchise. She was attractive, she was courageous, and her twist of being a Nazi, which we should have saw a mile away, blonde hair, blue eyes, but the way they did it and the way the actress performed it, the way she was like the softer character before, and then that twist of her being this evil Nazi, or kind of in a gray area Nazi, she wasn't exactly fully evil. I thought that the actress' performance was really, really great, and really, really made me invested in her as a character and wanted to see how everything was going to end up with her going versus Indy and kind of having a love interest, but also making him and his dad Eskimo brothers. Which I thought was absolutely hilarious. I really enjoyed her character a lot. The action in this film was top notch. Maybe some of the best action sequences that we've gotten in any of the Indiana Jones films, which is saying a lot, because even despite me thinking the first two were really good to okay, I thought that the action sequences were some of the better action sequences I've seen in any movie, modern or not. And this one, I feel like, topped it. I really, really enjoyed the tank in the desert scene. It started off slow, but once it got going, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's so practical and gritty, and the way of seeing Indy take down a tank by himself was exhilarating. It made me root for him, because despite me not loving the franchise overall up until this point, I really do love the character of Indiana Jones, and anytime he does anything, he's such a badass, and just to see him take down this tank was so cool to see, and how he was doing it and how smart he was. But then also what added to it was the fact that he was trying to do it to save a loved one. It wasn't just an action scene to be a cool action scene, or because the Nazis were in his way. It's because he's trying to save his father and his friend. I'm forgetting the name of the character right now. But I really, really enjoyed that scene. It was so good. And the third act, it brought it all together. The humor, the twists, the action, the mystery. And one thing that's been consistent in these movies, especially the first two movies, is Indiana Jones' disbelief of the mythicism. He never really believes it, even after he kind of sees it. You know, in the first film he saw something crazy, but even in the second film he was like, that's not true. It's just a story. And even in this one he did it again. But he starts coming around because of a good reason. His father, who he loves, he wants the approval of, is dying, and he has to get this Holy Grail to save him. And I thought that was a really great way of making his character arc and tying in the history and the religion, like this series does really well, into the story, and everything that happened at the end with him getting the Holy Grail, the guy that was, you know, switching sides and being an evildoer, getting what he deserved, and Elsa, you know, she was like stuck in the middle because she didn't want the Nazis to win, but she was using the Nazis to get to where she wanted to. I thought all that stuff was great. And just the way it ended with him finally getting the recognition from his father, I thought that was really, really good. But also the name reveal, I think that was perfect. You know, finding out that he's not actually named Indiana, he is a junior, but also the fact that he got his name from a dog. I thought that it was beautiful, but also really funny. And I think it was a strong way to end the film overall, and I really, really loved it. Let's get into the bad. So the acting with certain characters and certain actors was laughable. It was, some of them was really, really bad, and I was just like rolling my eyes and sighing at some of the line delivery. And the lines weren't written terrible. It was really just the way they delivered the lines, or like, you know, Indiana Jones, the films, it's not like it's the best written movies ever and have the most deep dialogue and things like that. But for the most part, the line delivery is what make those lines really done well. And some of the bad guys' line delivery and some of the good guys too was just a little too goofy. While I do love this film and I think it's the best of the franchise, I do miss the dungeon and temple traversing that we got in the first two films. I wish we had more of that. It is focused more on the action set pieces and the archaeological parts of it. Even though we got it at the end, it felt like it really went really fast. They spent a lot of time on it in the first two films, and they just blew past it in the third act. So that's like the only thing, because that's like a staple part of the franchise, and it was missing. Now let's get into my verdict. So I think this is a damn near perfect action film, action adventure film that combines the things that I liked from the first two films, the swashbuckling and fun from the first Raiders of the Lost Ark, and some of the darker moments in Temple of Doom, while also cutting some of the annoying parts that really bothered me in those first two films. I really, really enjoyed everything they did here, especially the action sequences and the performances from Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. And I think that this is the best movie of the franchise, and it's a movie that I feel like I can see myself rewatching, unlike the first two. So with that said, I'm going to give Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade a B+. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What would you rate Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? Drop all those comments down below. Let me know your favorite parts, your favorite characters, how do you feel about overall movie, how you feel about my review. And to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell to be notified of my reviews, reactions, live discussions, and much, much more. You can catch more of my content right now.